In this video, we're going to work on interpreting position time graphs, and in doing so, hope to allow you to be able to describe the motion of an object, sketch a motion diagram, and tell a story that's consistent with the graph. Let's start with a reference back to some things we did in class. Here's a basic position time graph. You might remember when we walked in front of the motion detector, we can make a graph line that was very shallow like that or very steep like that. And whether we walked slowly or quickly depended on that. And so one thing we can tell by looking at the graph is how fast we are walking, and how fast is related to the slope of the graph. So here is a slower moving object, and here is a faster moving object. Now, the how fast is really a way of saying the speed. That's just another phrase for speed. But in fact, we can tell more than just how fast. We can also tell the direction. For example, if one of these graph lines had come down like this, we could see that the slope here is negative. I'll write that out, negative. That implies that the velocity is negative. That is, the direction of travel is negative. So, from looking at a position time graph, we can tell two things. Or maybe more than that. One, we can tell the position at different times. Two, we can tell the speed of the object. And three, we can tell the direction of travel. And these we can get by looking at the slope of the graph. Now, let's go on to a specific example. So, let's say that an object that moves like this, and then like this, and then like this. And maybe we can distinguish that as segment 1, 2, and 3. So how do we interpret what's going on in this position time graph? All right. First thing is we'll notice that in segment 1, we'll notice that the object is moving in the negative direction. And we know that because the slope is negative. Okay, right there is a negative slope. Now, in segment 2, we notice that the object is at rest. We can tell that because the slope is 0. Okay, it's flat there, so no slope, so no velocity, no speed. Now in part 3, we'll notice that the slope starts off pretty low, but gets to be pretty steep. That tells us the object is speeding up. Okay, but we also notice that both those slopes are negative, and so the object is traveling in the negative direction. And those are the things that we can tell by looking at the position time graph. Now, we might be interested in making a motion diagram from this. All right, so let's do that. Let's make that the negative and that the positive. And so, the object starts out moving in the negative direction at a nice, steady speed, evenly spaced dots. It stops for a while, and then it starts to speed up in the negative direction. And there's a motion diagram without the arrow vectors, but basic motion diagram. Hopefully this video has helped you to interpret position time graphs.